This is an introduction to the HOA Manager program. This computer happens to be Windows 11 and it does have Microsoft Office 2007. When HOA Manager is first installed, we're going to open up File Manager here. In Windows 11, this has changed a lot. So notice that at the top here, I'm looking at this PC, Windows C, and HOA Manager. The file that runs the program is hoa.accdb. We can copy this, go back to our desktop, and we can right click and paste a shortcut. And we'll have this shortcut over here. Now the download file, if you run the automatic install, it will add a shortcut for you or give you the option to do that. But now I can open up the program, and one thing you have to be sure of with the modern day Office and Access, in the case of 2007, you're going to have Access options here. It'll look a little bit different with Access 2010 and above, but that you're just after Access options. And you need to go to the Trust Center. Once you're at the Trust Center, you go to Trust Center Settings, you go to Trusted Locations, and you need to add a new location if HOA Manager is not here. In this case, I can just simply go to C drive and type in HOA Manager folder. Be sure to check the subfolders are also trusted. Otherwise, there are certain functions in the program that will not work. So you got to make sure that HOA Manager is a trusted location, then just say OK, OK, OK. And I'm going to exit and then reopen it to be sure. Now, with a single user version, which a lot of people have, no login is needed. The login is if you're sharing this on a network that has more than one computer, like an office. You might have 3 people in the office and they all want to share the data. Then you have to use login and you turn off this auto login. But I'll just click auto login right now. And right now the program is on a screen sizer. The form is sized to the screen for some of the major forms. If you don't want that, and typically when you first start it, the form sizer is off. And once I log back in, then notice this is just the regular form. If you want the form sizer on, you click the form sizer and it'll come back on. Now this is what the program will always open up to. And it will open up and say, hey, here are all your owners and members of your HOA. And on the left side are all the major functions of the program that I'll go over briefly in this video. But if you're first starting to set up your program, you can go to Org Info Program Setup. Now here, for the most part, I just have, dummy data. So I don't share anybody's data. And there is a setup checklist here. And you can set up your financial ledgers, which you can have up to 10 bank accounts, which you can reconcile. This is also where you'd go if you wanted to transfer fund from one account to the other and just record that. Then we have our chart of accounts. This is where it'll go out and it'll actually get all the information and give you a bunch of data for the total time you've had the program. But it'll tell you, here's your income accounts, here's your expense accounts. Okay? And you can, these are your master accounts. So if I wanted to look at my assessment income, I would view the sub-accounts. This is what shows up on invoices and the banking. So you can group multiple accounts into one. Then you can set up your member dues, and this is the annual charge. What is your HOA charge for a property per year and that kind of thing. This is you're just giving you the description. There is also a road assessment in this program that you can also do that as well. But then there are other fees. You can on the monthly or annual or however often you want to do your auto invoicing. Maybe you charge somebody that, if you want to use the swimming pool, this is an extra, $20 a year or whatever. You can do that and give people options. Then we have contact categories. How do you want to categorize your members? Maybe you want to say prospect or potential. Maybe you want to say vendor. They're not really members, but you do pay people to do things. Then we have, this is the owner setup. And you can actually go into this form and just get the basic information. This is the most important information the program needs about who the owner is. And you can just add them right here or add a new one. Then you have property setup, and you can enter all the properties you have. One thing to point out here, one owner can have many properties, one property can have many owners. That's the relational database capabilities. Then we have employee user setup. For the most part, this is blank for a single user. Only would you need this if you were in a network. The program does have major events. If you have things like a flea market, or maybe you can manage all the events and who's coming to them and get information on that. Maybe you're charging for them. So there is major events. There's network events. This is like dinners, breakfast. People go to networking events. Major events can be businesses or people. Here, and I'll be showing you this, you can have a variety of invoice messages that show on the invoice. And last, there is a capability to have inventory, track your inventory that the park owns. On that note, once you do that, so right here, the most important part of the whole program, the center of it, each contact, be they an owner, a vendor, does not matter. If you double click their name, or you could do an owner detail, it opens up the contact detail. And you do not have to use all of this information. And briefly, I'm just going to cover this. This is their general info. They have a physical address. They have a mailing address. However, the next tab is the business info. Here's where you set up their annual fees. Is there anything extra? What kind of categories? Each contact can have up to 5 categories. They can have many keywords. Like you can probably just in keyword 1, as long as you put a space between it, that helps you on a search if you want to use that. But notice here they also do have a billing address in case it's different from their physical or mailing. Here now is their properties and vehicles. And notice here, if you want to add another property because they own it, then there'll be a different percentage. But the point is, this is where you'll see an owner and all the owner's properties. And there's many things you can do. You can view the property detail, update dues, view transfer log, transfer. If you select this property and click transfer sell, it's going to record all the information of who sold it and who bought it. So you have all that log. Compliance. This is only going to show if you want to actually track whether your homeowners are being compliant with the rules and regulations, and you can record them and what action, how they get resolved. Finance history. It'll say everything you've ever paid them or ever received from them in this history. It'll also tell you their current balance, late fee, collection fee, special fee, second assessment. It'll keep track of all that. It'll tell you the date last billed. This is the most important date. When are they next due? Because in the auto invoicing, we'll use that. Then, of course, any contact can have unlimited contacts. That might be more for a business, might have 5 contacts to it. There is a communication log. Oftentimes, a lot of people just don't have time to record all of this. But if you're talking to these, perhaps if there is a violation of some sort or a legal, thing going on, you may want to record those communications. There's honors and donations for people or businesses in the park. And then, of course, it'll keep track of all the major events. And if you use major events, you can just simply go, oh, gee, Brian Strange here wants to go to this event. And then you just click register event. That's your contact detail. That's for anyone here. Now notice there's buttons here. There's an owner letter, daily receipts, summary is for people that rent places in their park and they keep track of it, make income because they own some places and rent them. Had that happen. But down at the bottom here, owner detail is just like double clicking it. But if you want to search, you click search and you can search by category, keyword, show results. It defaults to owner member, but if you want to search other contacts or just do a general search because you're not sure what you're looking for, general search will search email, name, phone number, first name, last name, address, city, state, zip. It'll search all of that. And then you can just simply show results. Or you can say, I just want to look at owner members. And granted, this is short here just for the purpose of showing this video. Or you can look at other contacts. Do you want to look at other businesses, individuals, other, or all? And if I wanted to show all and click show results, this shows all other ones that are not owners. Okay? That's what that does. And here, this one will do all no matter what. And then here in this case, and it'll tell you who's an owner and who's not. So anyway, just ways to use your main menu for that. But now to view all these contacts, that's where we go to the master contact. And this is just simply a view of how many you got. And you might see one feature here that is good is show duplicates. Oh, good, we don't have any duplicates. So I go back to show all. But many times if you're going to add a new member, who knows, maybe 5 years ago they were in the park and they're coming back again. You don't want to re-enter them and you end up with a duplicate with 2 different history records. So anytime you're going to add a new contact, do a search for that contact here by a general search and search their name to make sure they're not in here. Okay, before you go to master contact list and you add them by just clicking down here and go, do where it says new here. So quick add will just take you down to this last record. Then once you get the basic information in here, you can just double click their name, and you can fill out all the major information that you have, that you use, because you do not have to use all of this. And then of course we have our properties. This will show you all the properties, and you can keep really detailed track of the address, street, status, category. You can also designate some as rentals and rent out them and check availability and whatnot. So not too many HOAs do that, but you can also keep track whether they have collections, lien applied, association, foreclosure, bank, subordination agreement. But also, just like contacts, you will not see who owns this property on this form because it can have multiple owners. So just like contacts, we double click this and lo and behold, there's more detail for this property. You can view a history log on collections, lien processing, foreclosures. You can record the mortgage holders if you didn't want to. But here's the owners, and if there's more than one owner, then that one owner, 2 owners, it's either going to be 75%, 25%, 50-50. But Also, many of these forms have many buttons, and they're just shortcuts to look at stuff, other stuff, information of your data. It's the beauty of a database. Then, of course, we have compliance. And here, you'll just always keep, and it'll open up with active compliance issues. But it will close them, and you can view them too. The options here always defaults to view open, view close, view all. And you can even, if there's a fine amount, you can create an invoice to send them. Then, of course, we have collections and foreclosures. This is also just ways of keeping track of that, and all the information is there, pretty much like compliances. Then, of course, an important part is finance and auto billing. This has a complete financial function that if you want to use it, some people stay with their QuickBooks or other software for managing their finances, but we do have some people that use this. And you can set your financial accounts. You can have up to 10 different bank accounts. PayPal can be one of them. And if you want to record transferring funds from one to the other, you can do that as well. We have, and I went over the chart of accounts, you can also create a budget and put a budget in here and actually track your budget. And then, of course, there is a general journal that an accountant will definitely tell you, hey, transfer this much fund to this account. That sort of thing. But here we can go in and we can look at our registers. And here you got to check which one you want. Here's my checking account. And it'll tell you exactly how much you got. I just put some dummy data in here. All kinds of neat functions. It'll tell you whether you've reconciled it or not, and then it's cleared. If you have like a group deposit, you can view the splits for that group deposit and see who did it. And I'll explain that next, where that happens, because anytime you receive money from open invoices, or you want to enter just some money you got here, general money, you can go, I want to make a deposit for checking. Receive from who? How much? That would be a direct entry deposit. If you receive money from an invoice, it's automatically added to here. Okay, and then once you do that, you check how you want to group it. You might have 10 payments here, but only 5 of them are going to the bank that day. So you just click those 5, and it'll be a group deposit. That's why on a group deposit here, I'm not depositing anything, so it says, hey, nothing's recorded. And then I go back to the view registers, and that will be a group deposit like this. That's what it'll do. And notice you can void the transaction if you want at the bottom. And there's all kinds of other functions on here as well. And then, of course, we can always reconcile. And when we reconcile, basically you go, what is the end of the month? Here is the beginning balance on your statement from the bank, and here will be the ending balance. Then you just go through your deposits and your debits, and you check the ones that are on the bank statement. The difference at the bottom is going to be 0. Once it's 0, you can reconcile. And that's, a lot of times, it only takes about 5 minutes. Then, of course, at any time, you can edit an invoice. And you can just simply say, hey, I'm going to pick this person. I am going to do this. Maybe they want to do this. And I just say, okay, they're going to do, oops, my problem. You just put here, balance is the previous, if they did have a previous. And pretty much, all you're doing there is, okay, there's an invoice, 1145. Now, if I go to open invoices, there's 1145 that I just created. Okay, all these others, notice these open invoices here, they're billing invoices. Okay, that's checked off here. This one is not a billing invoice. Okay, and if I wanted to deposit any of these, I could just simply double click them, and I go, okay, I can't receive more than they are billed, but I can go enter, they gave me $100, and check number 564, and close. Notice their new balance is 0. If I close here and I go to make deposits, it is waiting to go to the bank. And I can also do a manual one if I wanted to. And there, I'm not going to deposit it. And so that's open invoices and whatnot. Paid invoices is just a history, and I just set everything at ABC for this, of what I used. Just records all the payments you've ever gotten. And then, of course, we have, I will say this about bill paying. 99% of small HOAs will simply go to view registers, and they'll say check number so-and-so, paid it to here for grass cutting, and what was the debit, okay? But if you wanted to, this thing will write a check. You know, you can enter a bill. And once you enter a bill, just like Quicken, you know, pay the bill and print the check. Now down here, dues and other fees. We went over how to maintain the dues and other fees, but also there's an auto invoicing here. And I can say I want to create anything new if they're due before 11/17. I can do this at any time. Maybe I'll do 60 days ahead. And then I can just go auto dues invoicing. It will come up and say, is there any information that's not right? Here's a non-owner assigned to property. So anyway, it'll just list all those. But if everything's okay, you go to continue. All these people are due based on a next due less than or equal to 7/20/2025. And I could create these and continue. And just like that, that's how fast I created all those invoices. And if I go to open invoices, there they are. You know, now the memo there didn't change because I didn't change it, you know. But it'll also say starting balance because it was still unpaid when they got this, and now they owe a little bit more. So that's how easy it is for auto invoicing. Of course, there is payroll over here if you want to do that, but most people will just go to the view registers if there's a payroll and just do a check for whoever they're paying. Then the accountant will typically say, hey, this is what taxes you got to pay, whatever. This isn't used that much. Same thing with taxes, but it's there if you have to. And then basically the next thing we got, if you want to keep track of all your boards and committees, who are they? So you want to email and get a group of them, you can do that. We have calendar of events if you want to keep track of a calendar of events. And then we have a task manager if you want to actually start, hey, create a new task, you know, and put it on here. Repairs, maintenance, preventive maintenance, whatever. Here's the major events if you want to do that, you know. You can set up a new event. I'm not really going to cover that in detail. Very few use it. Somebody call up and inquire about something, you can keep track of that. Then we have reports A. There's tons of reports in here. And you just have to figure out which ones that you like to use. Like a monthly financial report, and that'll go out and get the information. And it'll give you kind of like a 12-month thing of what went on. And this master reports list here, if you don't want to use one, you can deactivate it, and then it won't show up in that list. So you can filter these things to only get the reports that you want. There's tons of reports, lot by property, events, task management, equipment inventory. That's reports A. There's another reports B, which you can say, you take the ones in the yellow box here, you pick one. Let me go owner list. Let me get by date they joined, you know, and you can do that and put a date range in. Once you select what you want in the yellow box, then what do you want to do with it? Preview a report, get information sheet, get some mailing labels based on Avery 5160s. Do you want a broadcast email list so you can copy and paste it into BCC in your email? Broadcast fax we do not support anymore, so nothing happens there. Or do you want to export the information to look at to Excel so you can email an attachment to somebody? And then there's other report names here if you have special reports that are outside the program that you use. You can link to them and click them and open them up. And then of course there's an admin and support. Admin and support, you have an employee list, update a website directory. That there is a capability that if your owners want to have a directory and be on there, we can actually integrate. If you have a website, you can actually have a member directory online that's based on the data here. You click that, like say you get a new owner, click it, updates it, and that new owner will show up. Classifications, you maintain what kind of classifications. You maintain the contact categories you want. You maintain the type of contacts you have. That's all up to you. Communication categories, what's it about? County tax rates, what's that? There's your turn form sizer, we did that. Here's an equipment list if you have equipment you want to keep track of that you want. Inventory is a little different. That's kind of like spare parts or paper towels or something. That's inventory locations. Where is it located? And this is your inventory list. These are task types for what kind of task manager thing that you want to do. You can have sale rep. You can pay commissions. You can have a software manuals list, invoice messages. You can create any invoice message you want. I will go show that to you right after we're done with this. Training class, property equipment status, contact change log. That pretty much is the admin. Now one thing you can do, if I go back to finance and I want to print out an invoice, I can select an invoice here and print the selected invoice. And on that note, I can say thank you or select my message and OK. And then the transaction ID, that was because of the data. Here, we customize this if you want your logo here or something like that. Or maybe you don't want all this information, but it will tell you the lots they own. Now, you don't have to print them out at one at a time either. You can print invoices batch by the date they were opened, and when were they continued. And here, notice now, it's printing all of them, that were created on that date, and they all happen to be created on that date, which was today that I showed you. So you can do that as well. On that note, I am going to end the video, and hopefully this helps.